Welcome everyone to the Nerd Nook. I'm your host Evan Teague, and with me, like always, is the man who knows what we're doing today, Noah Bailey.
Yes.
So, this is the first normal episode of the year, and we're starting with, I believe, a pretty big story. New Phineas and
Yes.
Ferb content is coming at some point to Disney Plus.
Not one, but two new
Mm-hmm.
seasons announced. Wild.
Yep,
Oh,
they announced 40 episodes as of right now come to Disney Plus. They didn't give a date. They didn't, really give any more information. Just that it's coming, which is cool.
I'm for it. 100%. Like this is one of probably one of the best Disney shows there is, just in
Mm-hmm.
form of like the amount, how much production and like consistent quality throughout how many episodes we've made.
Mm-hmm.
And like the idea was tossed around because I know Dan Poppemeyer's a creator is like big on
Oh yeah.
TikTok and everyone's making like voiceovers for Doofenshmirtz. There's that like Doofenshmirtz anime thing where the guy from I think it was a My Hero. It looks just like Doofenshmirtz. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like
Yep.
they put they put like the jingle over his entrance. Oh, but no, it's like there's like these were getting a lot of attention long after the show was over. So in this day and age, that feels to be a trend. A lot of times when you hear a lot about a show and a lot is happening with the creators, are like, yeah, I'd still do it if they let me. All the actors and voice actors are like, yeah, I'd still do it if we had it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, yeah, if everyone's willing, why don't we? This show was elite. Why not?
Yeah.
Like, and here we go.
And there's kind of been Phineas and Ferb like content happening pretty regularly even since the show ended. I think there's been at least two different spin-off shows. There was a movie that
That's
came
true.
out a year or two ago. Like there's been pretty
Yep.
consistent Phineas and Ferb content, but just like full on new like Phineas and Ferb episodes could be fun. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I'm super excited. This is one of my favorite shows
Oh yeah.
growing up for sure. I've sent one. I forgot what year it was, but one summer I literally just watched every episode in order. It was like 100 and something episodes, and I was
Mm.
just and it's the same thing every single time, and it doesn't get old somehow. It makes no
Nope.
sense, but it works.
Yep, because I remember there was back in like probably like 2013 ish. I kind of fell off watching it like every single week, and then 2 or 3 years later, we were just like on vacation, and me and my brother were in our room by ourselves. We were just flipping through the channels, and an episode of Phineas and Ferb came on. We're like, might as well watch this. And it was like a newer episode. And it was the same thing, and it was still funny. It's like, yeah, like, like that's the mark of a great show, where like you know exactly what to expect, and you're still entertained the entire time. It's great.
Right? That's what I'm saying. Like it's always the same. Like you're like, where are you? Oh, we're right about Candace is about to parent. Candace is getting mom. She's about to see the backyard, and the thing's about to disappear because of something Perry did or something. It's like, how do you know that's gonna happen? And exactly. Just,
Hmm.
like I think because the show follows the same formula, it makes it that it really highlights the witty writing and the jokes because you're not really like distracted by the plot.
Hmm.
So like the inside jokes, the like clever writing, the like just like just like random things that just don't get explained. I love like when shows do that when like they'll just have a joke and they'll just be like something totally weird and they just don't explain it.
Yep.
And you're just like, all right, well, I guess that's a thing. we just don't. We're just not gonna talk about that
Yep.
ever again. Okay.
Hmm.
Like Buford just be like, this is the second time I've carried someone in the bag. Only this time I knew who was in it. It's like,
Uh,
all right,
all
we're just not gonna know what about whatever that was about. Like, I don't know. Like,
Mm.
there's a lot of jokes like that. Oh, it's just good jokes. All the characters are fun. They're very well written,
Hmm.
and just it's just really funny. Like, I'm super excited.
Oh yeah. Like I said, they didn't. As of right now, we don't have any kind of time frame for when it's happening. I assume next year or later. But
Hmm.
regardless, it's one of those things. Like I feel they would only bring it back if all parties involved really wanted to and had good ideas for what they wanted to do, and like
Hmm.
apparently they clearly they do. So,
Yeah.
do you think it would be a show that they run weekly or just release all at the same time? Because Disney Plus can kind of go either way with stuff like this.
I Vinny, if it's me, I'm doing it all at once just because Phineas and Ferb seems like one of those shows where it's not like episodic in terms of like, oh, find out what happens this week. You already
Mm-hmm.
know what's gonna happen. It's not like a story. It's kind of just more episodes of summer. So it kind
Mm-hmm.
of just makes more sense, at least for me, to kind of just drop them all like they did with Star Wars Visions
Yeah.
versus just like, oh, every week with like Bad Batch or something that actually has an overarching story. So I would just drop them all once at once. But
Mm.
I don't know how they want to do it. I think Phineas and Ferb is big enough that if you dropped it all at once, people would still talk about it for a while. So I think it'd be fine. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't like the idea of like episodically doing it. I don't think that would work very well.
Yeah. I mean, it worked at the time because that's back in
Just how TV
2007 when
worked.
the show
Yeah.
started. Like that's all they could do, really.
Right.
uh, so, but now you can do it on streaming. I think either way would work. But yeah, I think dropping it all at once would be probably be better, especially since they are still probably going to be the 11-minute coupled episodes.
Yeah, as
Um,
they should be.
yeah. Uh, but yeah, that's very cool. Good way to start the year.
Super awesome. Great. Love that. 100%.
hmm um, Another good way to start the year is trailers. Trailers are always fun.
Yep.
With usually. So the first trailer we're going to talk about is the most recent trailer for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium. Finally got to
Hmm.
get a good look at Kang. We got a good look at all the characters, just generally what they'll be up to in the quantum realm. And as far as Ant-Man movies goes, it looks pretty good.
Yes. No, this definitely looks like it's going to be the best Ant-Man movie as far as like this one actually having some significance, I guess. Not to be mean, but like I feel like the other ones kind of just happen. And it's kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. But like this one definitely, I think a bit, Kang, they're setting this up. This is his first real antagonistic role. I feel like in Loki was kind of just, oh, I'm just here kind of thing.
hmm
So this feels more like really setting the villain stage here. I like this costume, like the
Oh
real
yeah.
setup. I really think it looks really good. We saw M.O.D.O.K, which was interesting. That
Yeah.
was
Apparently,
something
this
kind of.
M.O.D.O.K is the villain from the first movie, who's like been had his mind warped by the quantum realm, and like he's working with Kang now. Like that's cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, go for it. Why not?
M.O.D.O.K has always
Kind
been
of thing.
just a weird character in Marvel, so like the fact that he's here at all is weird, but like he's the one element of this movie that like I'm most I guess concerned about because I feel like M.O.D.O.K's the character that could carry his own movie as the villain.
Hmm.
Um, and he was only in the trailer for like a couple of seconds, and Kang was clearly the main, like the main villain of the movies on all the posters. M.O.D.O.K isn't really like prominently on any of these posters,
That's yeah.
and I wonder if they're going to kind of position M.O.D.O.K to continue on in future things, or if he's just going to be a quantum realm enemy. I'm not sure, but regardless, it's going to be at least fun to watch M.O.D.O.K just exist in the MCU for once. So.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think, like you said, I feel like it's definitely. I'm kind of worried it's gonna get like the Taskmaster treatment, like
Mm,
not so much in the marketing, but so more in the actual movie, as we found out. Oh wow, this really notable Marvel villain is kind of just not really that notable in this universe. So
yeah,
we'll see how that goes. But
right. Because both Taskmaster and M.O.D.O.K are characters that in the comics they do pop up pretty like semi frequently, but
Hmm.
they don't like they're not like world-ending threats. They don't like they 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 do a lot of pairing with other villains to do stuff. They're hired by people to do stuff, so it's not necessary to keep them around for future Marvel stuff. But it's their characters to kind of it's nice to have in your back pocket, just like to
Hmm.
use in the future if you wanted to.
Right.
Clearly, they
They're
are
like,
Taskmaster for Thunderbolts, but M.O.D.O.K. I don't really know what what they will do, but they could. You
yeah,
know.
yeah, they're kind of like villain wild cards. You can kind of put them anywhere, and it doesn't feel too out of place most of the time. So.
Yeah, he's also a villain who's been the villain of a bunch of different characters like Iron Man,
Exactly.
Ant Man. He was an Avengers level threat sometimes. Like it's he could be just kind of put wherever and it wouldn't feel out of place. So, um, but yeah, the movie's coming out in February, and the first big Marvel thing of the year is going to be probably pretty good.
Yeah.
I will say I don't know if I'm necessarily feeling the actress they got to play Cassie in this movie. There's a couple of moments in the trailer where like her lines didn't feel genuine. I guess didn't like just like I don't know. I just didn't. It didn't. It every now and then when you're watching a movie, you can just like you watch a scene and you're like, oh, that is just clearly a person standing in front of a green screen saying a line, cut, go to something else. There was a couple of times during the trailer where Cassie specifically was like, "Dad," or just like saying something, and it was like
It
it
like
took me
took
out of
you
it.
out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe it'll be maybe it'll be better in the theater, or maybe that's just a
That's what I'm
trailer shot. But
hoping.
I don't want to like talk bad about the actress, but just for whatever reason, she was more noticeable than other things going on. But I'm
Yeah,
sure it'll be fine.
she's not selling it as well as some of the others are. So yeah, we'll
Granted,
have to.
it is just her first movie in the
That's
MCU, and I
yeah.
know she's not a new actress, but she's relatively new compared to obviously Michael Douglas and, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Paul Rudd's been in a few things,
Yeah, like
one or two
these
movies.
people have been around for a while, and she's relatively new, so I'm not knocking her too hard. It's just of these actors, she was the one that kind of stood out the most, but I'm
Mm,
sure I'll be fine.
yeah, we'll see how it goes in the theater because it's one of those things, especially with the trailer. A lot of times you realize like a lot of this could be shots just for the trailer, and like maybe they made that maybe that was a line read for the trailer or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like
I mean,
maybe they were taken out of it too to speak it,
oh
so to
yeah, and
speak.
in
So
the movie that she could be on a completely different background, like she's not
exactly.
even saying that line there, or like in the movie she'll be like at a different angle or like off screen, or like, it'll be. I remember the in-game movie trailer specifically did a lot of that, where like characters would just have a completely different background in the actual movie, as
Hmm.
opposed to the trailers, or like lines would be
Hmm.
different angle or off screen. It was just they do a lot of stuff like that with trailers. So
Yeah, like the misdirection. Yeah, especially with Infinity War and Endgame, like really trying to keep the audience guessing. So
yeah, which fun fact, there was some new court ruling kind of recently uh, that established that companies can now be fined for false advertising in their trailers. I don't
somebody was really bad about that Infinity War trailer with Hulk running.
right. Like no element of that scene period is in the movie. Like there is
No,
not
at
even a thing where
all.
you can like cut and paste characters, put them. No, that does not exist
No.
at all in the movie.
They 100% made that shot and was like, this is really going to get home.
Like that. Yeah, like, I don't. I think you'd be kind of stupid to try to sue Disney over movie trailers. Well, but like it might be something they have to like consider going forward. Like how much could they get
Yeah.
away with without it being false
I mean,
advertising?
it's not like anyone wasn't going to see the movie if they had known that shot wasn't in it.
Right.
Everyone was still gonna go see
I mean, a
it,
lot
and
of people were upset that
gra-
Hulk wasn't in more of the movie, but it wasn't. People still love the movie regardless of Hulk being in most of it. So,
right, but
yeah. I
yeah, I mean,
yeah. Mhm.
I see the reasoning because you kind of want companies to make sure they're not just like getting over on people and just promising whatever when it doesn't
Mm,
happen. But at the same time, it's a trailer, which really the idea of a trailer is just supposed to get you excited for the movie
right.
and not really explain anything.
Yeah.
So
Like
I don't know. It's a little bit of both, I
yeah. Like
guess.
there's a difference between in the theater Cassie standing behind something completely different in that shot as opposed to just like in this trailer you see M.O.D.O.K in the trailer he's doing stuff and then in the movie he's just not in the movie at all. Like that is false advertising.
Mm,
There are elements that are just
yes,
not in there. Which I mean
he lied.
some people could argue the Hulk scene from that Infinity War trailer could kind of be that, but he's the character at least in the movie, whereas this is kind of different. But
Well,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's kind of in the movie, but not
um,
really. Like
yeah, I
I don't know. Yeah, it's a little bit of both.
yeah, I think this court ruling is gonna target video game trailers more so than anything because Ubisoft especially has a very bad habit of announcing games way too early with the trailer that looks way better than the game's ever gonna be with stuff that's just not gonna be in the game. So this might try to like kind of stop them from doing that because especially since video games are a lot more expensive and like that I think that's fair to like try to stop them from a stop the idea video games in general are announced way too early already. So like if you could just have the first trailer when the game is ready instead of just announcing your game like 4 years in advance with stuff that's just not in there. Like this is an idea what the
Right.
game could be, and then 4 years later it looks like trash, but you're still gonna buy it because you've been hyped for the past 4 years, and then it's not at all what you
Yep.
thought it would be.
Yep. Like every Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer back in the day, it's like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe it. That's the keyway that Master Eric is using. I can't wait to do that. Never happened.
Really?
It's fine. Oh my gosh, he's back on this. Now we're gonna go back. Nope, not a
Wow.
playable location. Like
Oh no.
it's fine. It's fine. Those trailers are like, but like you said, those trailers were from like 5 years ago. So it's like you're still hyped anyway. So, but
Mm.
yeah, it is basically false advertisement. But I guess it's like I feel like because it's so minute, people think it's not that big of a deal enough. But maybe this will do something about it. But I doubt it.
Yeah. But that's gonna be interesting to see like if that actually impact anything going forward or if it's just a thing. 3 years from now, someone brings up like, "Hey, remember when this happened?" Oh well. um,
Basically.
yeah. But speaking of trailers, we got a new trailer or I guess the first trailer for Mandalorian season 3, and
Mm-hmm.
it is definitely more Mandalorian. Can't complain there.
Yep. Yep. It ain't broke, so we're not fixing
Yep.
it.
Yep. There's probably an insignificant number of people who watched that trailer and were kind of confused as to why Grogu was in it, considering it because they hadn't seen Book of Boba Fett. But
He didn't do the reading.
sorry.
You got to do the homework.
Mhm. um, but yeah, that show's gonna be good. you know.
Yeah, and it comes out in March, not December, so I'm hyped.
hmm We are gonna be getting Mandalorian and and Bad Batch like at the same time now in March. Because I think
Yeah,
Bad Batch is 16 episodes. And that's definitely not going to be
yeah,
over by
something
the
like that.
time Mando is here. So,
Yeah, but I feel like although those are both Star Wars, I feel like I don't because they don't really overlap at any means. It's not really that big of a deal.
yeah.
But
Um, it just still kind of cements the idea that like I I feel like Disney should try to space out stuff a little better if possible. Like they did with She-Hulk and Andor.
mm,
Thank goodness, and I hope they continue that going forward if they have stuff that's that's a very different
Marvel and
thing.
Star
Yes.
Wars.
Like if
Yeah,
you have two Star Wars things on the same day, it's not like it's kind of weird, but at least it's like all on the same day. Whereas if you have Star Wars and Marvel
yeah,
and whatever else all on the same, like all on Wednesday, that might be a little messy. But
yeah. That's gonna be
yeah,
ridiculous. Like,
because I think
I
they
mean,
realized Miss Marvel kind of got hit hard by going up against Obi-Wan.
yeah, 'cause it's like not to be mean, but it's like I'm not like I'm here. We're here for Obi.
Yeah.
It's like which one do you want to watch? And it's like the Darth Maul Kenobi. It's
Uh,
like, oh man, like, yeah. I mean, I feel like yeah, that this whole thing we talked about, like competing against yourself for no reason, just feels kind of. I mean, not pointless, but like why?
but at the same
But
time,
it feels different for
Netflix
Star
and
Wars.
HBO are kind of, stabbing themselves in the foot recently. So, like,
You know,
maybe they can get away
like
with it.
Netflix. Well, the thing about Netflix is like they're like active. There's like Netflix is like that friend that you still need to drive you around so you get your car, but like they're actively being a worse friend the whole time. So
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of just like, man, as soon as this show's done, I'm gone.
Right. As soon as I get my own car, as soon as like as soon as I don't
Pretty
need you
much,
anymore. But
yeah.
because more often than not, if you're actively invested in a Netflix show that's not Stranger Things or Big Mouth, they're gonna cancel it for you anyway. So,
Yep.
and that was a big deal the past couple of weeks. There's like several shows, like cartoons specifically. They just decided, even though the shows were done, like they were most of the way through their production on a final season, they were just like, no, we're not gonna air that. You can just we're done. Like, why?
You know, I mean, who knows? But let them go, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. Whatever. So yeah, I Mandalorian in March, very good. It's one of those things where like, I don't even really need another trailer before it comes out. Like I didn't even need
I
this
didn't need
one
the
to be
first one
hyped.
to be
Yeah.
honestly.
So cool.
Yeah.
um, last little bit of Disney news. Uh, so to my knowledge, zero Phase 4 Marvel movies released in China at all. I know Black Widow didn't, Shang-Chi and Spider-Man. I don't think any of those released in China at all. But Ant-Man 3 will be the first Marvel movie to actually release day and date in China. And Black Panther 2 is also going to be released in there sometime in February as well. So, you good?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry to making sure you still hear me. So, so that at least probably means that Ant Man 3 will do proportionately better than these other movies did. Not necessarily, I don't know if Ant Man 3 will necessarily break 1 billion because it's still an Ant Man movie. And those
Yeah,
haven't
that's what I
done.
was thinking.
Because even like, Ant Man 2 still had China at the time back in 2018. It only made like 600 something million.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
proportional to what it would have made without China, I think it'll probably do at or possibly above Thor: Love and Thunder numbers. It's like 700, 800.
yeah, yeah. Well, probably it could. I don't know if it will. It could just because one, the third movies in the trilogy haven't really have historically have done very
Mm,
well, and also, we're introducing a new. Well, I guess. Well, not intro. You know what I mean? Like this
yeah,
is Kang's big moment, so that's a big deal. It's also kicking off a new phase. So like, there's a lot of factors that could help this maybe get that billion pump, extra. So
mm,
we'll see. But I think it might actually because I like the time of year it's coming out. There's not a ton. It's like kind of one of the first things to come out this year that everyone's trying to see. So I think
yeah,
it's a good.
yeah. And I think with China, I don't know how big the first Black Panther was in China, but you know, Black Panther 2 didn't do as well as the first one. That was like, maybe because of China, but because of other reasons as well. But like, it did like 820 some million, which is still not bad at all, for a movie like without the main
Considering you lost
character.
your main character. So yeah,
Yeah, they had a
it's
lot of
still really good.
stuff going against it, and it was still a really good movie. still did very well. You know, I think I don't want because let me back up. The reason why a lot of these movies haven't been releasing in China is because Disney started doing this policy where they stopped really caring about China's censorship policy. So they, because up until very recently, there was almost no like iconic New York iconography in Marvel movies, even though they were mostly set in New York. Because for some reason, China just doesn't like movies that have the Statue of Liberty in it. And Disney was like, we don't care. We're gonna put that in the Spider-Man No Way Home, and that didn't break 2 billion because that wasn't in China. Um, and some stuff with Shang-Chi, China didn't like. Same with Doctor Strange. So I hope it's only because just incidentally there's nothing about Black Panther or Ant-Man that just so happens, it passed China's censorship laws or whatever. I hope they don't, kowtow to that going forward. I hope it's just kind of incidentally these two can go.
Hmm.
Yeah. But regardless, I like it when movies I like make money. So I like tracking stuff like that. So, seeing that number go up is always fun.
Positive reinforcement.
Now, I'm going to move over to a trailer that came out recently that I thought did not look very good. So, I don't know if you know this show even exists, but there's this
Oh, I know where this is
Gotham
going.
Knights show on the CW.
Yep.
So, story time. I literally didn't know the show really was happening before I saw this trailer. So, the first time I even knew this show was maybe existing, I was Googling something for the Gotham Knights video game. I just Googled Gotham Knights,
Hmm.
and like I knew it was like a comic run or something, but I just assumed the game would come up. No, apparently at the time, like Gotham Knights season 1 was the first thing that came up. I was like, God, this like, oh, I guess there was some weird Gotham Knights show. Okay, whatever. Eject that from my brain. Video game. It's like that maybe happened at some point. And then it was like re-announced when Warner Brothers, I guess Warner Discovery at the time last year had this like big presentation thing for all their stuff coming. I was like, oh, that's happening. Maybe okay. Like I don't care about CW stuff, but whatever. And then Batgirl got canceled, and Batwoman got canceled, and the Flash is ending, and like, oh, well, I guess I just like put that in with that stuff. Like, oh, that's not happening. So like, I never even acknowledged it for more than 2 seconds before a trailer for this show came out, and it looks terrible.
Yep. No, it's bad. I saw this a while back. I'm not sure, but like I saw this trailer, and I remember seeing this, and I was just like, no,
They canceled
no, they're
Batgirl,
no.
but they kept this.
Yeah, I mean that. I don't know who's coming up with these ideas, but like they need to get fired because like there's so many bad ideas.
There's like 6 different just massive issues I have with this trailer. First, Batman is just like some guy in a business suit with a half a mask on. Like you're gonna open with we need someone for okay. So second problem, the trailer opens with Batman gone. Who's gonna solve the murder of Bruce Wayne? It's like, but but he's you didn't put that together. Even after he died, the society didn't put that together. Okay, sure, whatever. Because that's usually the case. After Batman dies, they
2 and 2 usually doesn't take too long, but yeah.
okay, sure, whatever. And It's Batman died in the middle of the street to Joker's daughter's laughing gas, I guess. Because like we see him just like on the street with like a big smile, And I guess Joker's daughter got to him. Where's Joker? Is he like what? That of all the villains you use, I know Joker's daughter is a thing, but like that that seems wrong. I don't even know what number I'm on anymore, but like, but you have Batman's son, who is not Damian Wayne. He's this other random made up character for the show. I don't even know his name, but I know it's not Damian. And you have the Robin being Carrie Kelly of all Robins. Like, I know that's a named Robin, but like, I
For
feel
one thing that this is not doing.
not at all to it. Like, just. And then there's like four other random characters who were just here who
Mhm.
are either very obscure characters who are made up for this movie or show, whatever. When a Gotham Knights show should be so easy to make, just like they did the video game, or like or you can throw uh, uh, what's his name, Luke Fox in there. You could throw Duke in there. Just like there are so many Bat family characters that are real. Cassandra Cain, Stephanie Brown, etc. Like Harper Row. There's so many Batman family characters that you just no. We're gonna have a bunch of original characters and the sixth Robin you maybe will think of. Okay, sure.
Yeah, it it's basically like that. You remember that Disney Channel thing called Descendant? It was like
Yeah.
the kids of all these like Disney villains or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. It's basically that, but with Batman characters, and I'm just kind of like, no one asked for
No.
this at all. My thing is there just like, is there a rule that you just can't use Batman? And if there is, why are we like I don't get it. I don't understand.
Why are we continuing
Like
to
this is like
make Batman stuff if we can't use Batman?
pretty much, yeah. It's like nobody like it's like the Gotham thing. It's like I get what you're trying to do, but Batman's world isn't interesting without Batman, or at least not interesting enough.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
I don't,
especially if
I
you're
don't
gonna
know.
fill it with characters who have no connection. We have no connection to. If it was,
Right.
Dick Grayson and Damian Wayne trying to figure out who killed Batman, that's one thing. But it's neither of those people. Like,
I don't know. It's like I feel like we all. I feel like there's always. I feel like CW is always like doing the workaround with like Batman, like which is weird because they can do Superman. I mean, I know he doesn't wear like a costume as much in that Superman and Lois show, but like, I mean, he's very clearly Clark Kent Superman.
still
Like
is
it's very
Superman,
thing.
yeah.
So it's like I guess they can use Superman. So can you not use Batman? And if you can, why? And if you can, why aren't you? And like I don't
I
know.
don't
I
know.
just it feels very like it just feels very CW. It's like you're
Mm-hmm.
missing the whole point. Like what are you doing?
Yep.
I don't know. It's
It's like they could use the Flash, but not
which I
and
mean
Superman,
like
but not Batman. Okay.
well, that okay, so that's my it's like I get like Flash, like Green Arrow, like yeah, okay, those guys aren't as notable as Batman and Superman, but I mean, once you started using Superman, it was because like then they used Supergirl,
Mm-hmm.
and it was getting a little closer. And then Superman was in Supergirl a little. Because remember, in
Mm-hmm.
the beginning of Supergirl, you just saw like a silhouette of Superman, and he flies away or something. And then
Right.
he actually just became a character, and then now he's got his own show. So it's kind of like okay, so clearly you can use Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't we using Batman? I mean, even in a show like this, like if you want, like, first of all, I think this idea is very dumb. But
Right.
again, who knows? I don't know. I don't get any of it. But
I mean, the idea of a Gotham Knights series isn't terrible. Like even the Gotham Knights video game wasn't a bad idea. It wasn't executed well,
no,
but it wasn't a bad idea. but it's almost like it's almost like it was a show that they had written as a totally different thing. I don't know what it was, but it was like some vigilante murder mystery show that kind of late in development they realized they got the rights to some Batman stuff, and then but they for some reason couldn't switch around any characters to be like any of the main characters to be named DC characters. They just kind of stuck with what they had and made this. I don't know.
Yeah, I have noticed that. This isn't just with CW shows, but like a lot of things in general are kind of just taking existing characters and just kind of not using any of the source material and just saying, "Oh, I'm writing this character, but I'm just going to slap this name on it." Kind of like the Cassandra Cain thing with Birds of Prey. And it's kind of just like, wow, that character has nothing even remotely similar to the
Yeah.
source material in any possible way. You completely misused this. And I feel like this is kind of the same. So now they're just kind of
Yeah.
taking even more obscure characters or characters that don't really exist. And they're like, yeah, we're just going to write this however we want because
Mm-hmm.
we can. Like, it almost sounds like whoever's writing this show made a deal with some like kids and like, okay, we'll give you a show and you can play whatever character you want. Just tell us what kind of show. Oh, we can't put you guys in a Batman show. You guys are kids. Okay, how do we make this work? Like, it doesn't make any. It feels like it's like Cold War. It's like it just doesn't make any sense like on paper at all. Like
Mm-hmm.
it feels like someone's just trying to like save their job by filling out 10 people's requests at
Right.
once. But I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. This show is getting canceled 2 seasons max. There's no
Oh,
possible way the show is having a longer run than Batwoman did. Not in a million years, if it even
the
gets that
show
far.
shouldn't exist. I mean, I don't. I don't think is it okay. Is it out already? Is it happening?
I don't think it's happening yet. Let me find out. CW release date. Sometime this year. Sorry, in March. March. So, still got a little time for it to win us over. So, it could happen.
Good. I
But
mean, who knows? It'll probably. I mean, first of all, I mean, no offense, but I feel like does anyone even watch the CW anymore? Because I mean, so many people don't even like have cable.
right.
So
I mean, a lot of the CW shows simul stream on HBO Max. So I know that Superman show
um,
does. And this might do the same thing. I'm
think
not
about
sure.
that. Probably. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
But but
Okay. Well,
I don't know exactly what the fate of HBO is going forward. So that's still up in the air.
yeah, that's
But
true too. Who knows?
especially since it's apparently upgrading its price up to $15.99 when it was
Ugh.
$14.99. Like I for what? You're upping the price and taking away stuff. Is what that Last of Us show costing you that much money? It's like
No, it's just inflation. I don't know.
okay. Like when Disney Plus increased their price, I was all for that because A, it was already the cheapest service. So going up a couple of bucks, I wasn't. It's still the cheapest service. I maybe Hulu's technically cheaper, but like as far as like a no
Technically, who is cheaper, but you can get them both for like not that much money.
for a no ads option, I think it might be the cheapest. I think I'm pretty sure it's the cheapest no ads option.
Yes,
Um,
that is true.
okay, but that's still $11. HBO was 14 or 15, and they've done nothing but either announce stuff we don't want or take away stuff we did kind of like. And I mean, apparently, again, like I just mentioned, that Last of Us show is at least first episode was really good. House of the Dragons is more Game of Thrones stuff. People like Game of Thrones, but everything else, as far as like the landscape of the entire platform, began disappointing people, and then they decided to increase the price. Whereas Disney, as far as I know, doesn't really ever remove stuff. They only, continue to add bigger budget produced stuff. So the increased price was justified. But I guess Warner Discovery got to make back their make back their money from that merger somehow.
Yeah.
And they're not making it on Black Adam, I'll tell you that much.
Oof. I guess, but it's just like I don't know, man. Like it, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of unnecessary rebranding and changes. It's just
Mm,
like, why are we changing? Like I still don't understand it. Like,
no. I wish I could tell you. I really do.
right?
I
I'm just,
like maybe Warner Brothers was in some money trouble before the merger, and this was just a way to for AT&T to just get rid of it. I don't know.
sure, whatever.
Whatever. But whatever. Turn, turn around to something good on the horizon for Warner Brothers. Um, James Gunn has officially confirmed that uh, the Matt Reeves Batman stuff and new DCU Batman stuff will both exist simultaneously. It will not cross over. So
Okay.
that's good. like
Yeah, I think that's good because I don't think they're not going to have to change Matt Reeves' Batman in order to fit an overarching. Because this Batman doesn't feel like it can
Mm-mm.
go against like any other like outside threats. This Batman feels very
right.
kind of like Nolan's Batman. It kind of feels very great for this universe, but not for super powered
Mm-hmm.
beings. I don't think it really works that
Right.
way.
And like Matt Reeves has already established that he wants to do a whole bunch of spin-offs. He wants to do as many movies as he can. Um, and I think something that's just I think the general public can handle multiple Batman movies at the same time. I think whatever director they get to make a different Batman will be it'll have a completely different style. It'll obviously be a different actor. So I don't think the general public will be confused by by two different Batman stuff going on. Um, so I think we'll be able to handle it. But regardless, James Gunn cementing that they're not touching Matt Reeves. Just let him cook. Let him just do. You know,
Yes.
let him do whatever.
I'm so proud of you for that. No, that's like one of the best new memes, and I love how that's just like it's it's
Every
very rare where you go ahead.
no, I say it's everywhere, but yeah, go on. Yeah.
I love no, I love that. I don't know, like I love the meme because I don't remember where I first saw it. I saw a Brandolade. It's this Kingdom Hearts
Mm.
where it's just like it's he's like hold on, let him cook. And I'm just like, just like the scene has nothing to do with
Oh,
anything, but it's so funny. It's
and
just
that and
like
that
oh
that that meme like was a meme well before the let him cook part. It
I
was like it was like hold me back, like don't like don't
know.
like
Mm,
or
hold
it's
on, let him
like
cook.
like don't worry, I got this. Like I got this for you. Don't worry. Now it's no, don't let him. Like that's completely different what it originally was.
Right,
But it still
right.
works.
No. Well, look, it's just funny because it works. And it's like I don't know. Like I'm starting to see other versions. Like there's a Breaking Bad one now
Oh
where it's
yeah,
like, hold on, let him cook.
yeah.
It's just like I see
Or
what you
like
did there.
someone
But
cooked here.
like,
It's like yes.
yes, dude. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Whenever a meme gets big and just like it becomes just part of like regular speech. It's
Mm.
just I don't know. It's always a monumental for me. I just think that's hilarious. I'm happy. Okay, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Meme culture is awesome. I
Yep.
love it.
um, but yeah, like let Matt Reeves do whatever he wants with the series. The first one was so good. Just let him do it. um, and Michael, I can never get this last name right. Giacchino. I don't know. The
Oh,
guy that
yeah.
scored the Batman. Um, he's gotten more into doing into being more of a director kind of recently.
Oh.
Yeah, he directed the Werewolf by Night for Marvel. He's done a couple
Oh.
of other stuff. He's had some other stuff announced kind of recently for stuff in the future, but he has at least confirmed that he is still dedicated to Batman universe stuff to score that. So great because his score, everything about that movie was amazing, but his score just cements it as just this iconic just
Mm.
thing. So I think it would be a shame if we lost him, but he's still committed to at least the Batman movies, so that's good. And if he wants to direct a spin-off show or movie, go, yeah, do it.
Go for it. Yeah. No, definitely the music and the score definitely helped like sell it as like this is what Gotham feels like, sounds like. It
Mm,
was really good.
yeah,
So
because he's one of those people that's just kind of been around for a while and has scored probably most of your favorite stuff. He scored a lot of Pixar stuff, including Incredibles and Ratatouille.
mm.
He scored Rogue One, like, and that soundtrack is really good. Yeah, he's been around and done some pretty iconic stuff. So I'm sure his directorial stuff is going to be also good, but is it would be a shame if he just stopped doing music at all. So that's at least good. He's going to continue Batman stuff. So yeah. Um, before before I continue on to a different Avatar topic, um, did you end up actually seeing Avatar: Way of the Water?
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to talk about that?
Yep.
Okay, go. Spoilers, I don't
Okay.
care.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So I'm like first of all, even though it's been what 13 years,
Yep.
you have to see the first one like recently
Oh,
because you
okay.
will not know what is going on. Because I watched the first one I think Wednesday, and I went to see the movie on Saturday, and I was like, wait, okay, who's this again? Like I'm trying like. You like they just expect you to like, hey, you saw this movie yesterday. Don't worry. Like,
Mm,
and like they like this movie came out like the previous one came out like 2 years ago, so they kind of just pick up basically like okay, so it's weird because it's like the time jump in real life kind of matches the movie time jump
mm-hmm.
because it's like a 10 year ish jump, well more than 10 years I guess, because they've got kids now, and they're like preteen. Well, I think like the oldest maybe like 15,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other one's like 13. There's four of them, which is wild, and it's weird because like somehow some of the kids are his and his wife's, and some are like the other scientist was actually pregnant. It's like what?
What?
How did that even? I don't even. Who is? Okay, sure, whatever. And then of course, and like oh yeah, the bad guy also had a kid apparently, or so, and it's like wait what? Like when did that happen? But okay, and it's just like sure, why not? But it's
real,
kind of interesting.
real quick, is
Go ahead.
he? I remember the end of the last movie. It ended with like main character going back into the blue guy eyes opening up movie ending. Did the
Mhm.
main character guy die and they transferred him like completely into the avatar, or is he still like going back and forth?
As far as I know, he's just completely Avatar now. Like
Okay.
he never goes back. So I guess they fully switched him, or I guess I don't really know how that works. They didn't really because even in the first movie, they didn't really explain it either. They kind of just, oh, you're here now. So I'm like, so is
Mm.
his other body just gonna decompose, or does it they have to like make sure it stays okay, or like the
Hmm.
machine runs out of power? Does he die? Like they didn't explain it. They didn't really. And it's interesting because they actually there's a scene where they go back to where that place was and they don't like mess with the body or anything. So it's
Hmm.
assumed that his corpse is just in there, I guess.
Okay.
So that's interesting. But again, I mean, if I was him, I probably wouldn't go back either. So don't say I really blame him.
Hmm.
It's like be a eight, be a 10 foot awesome leader of a bunch of aliens, or go back to being paralyzed and everybody hates you. It's like, yeah, I'll take the
Yeah.
first one.
Yeah.
Like, why not? So, but it's pretty cool. He's like the chief now. He's like it's kind of like Tarzan. Like he's like he went from oh you're not one of us to now like oh yo Tarzan help us out. He's kind of like the main guy. And it's pretty cool. Like the world building, and I will say I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but I must admit, the first movie after rewatching it again, I liked it a lot better than I did the first time. I don't
Hmm.
think it's worth $2.78 billion, but
2.9 now after re-releases, but yeah.
2.9. Oh, that's right. That's right. Re-release. Whatever. It's not worth almost $3 billion by no means, but it was pretty good.
Okay.
The world building was a lot more interesting than I remember. Maybe because I'm an adult and I understand world building more,
Hmm.
but yeah. But no. Anyway, thing I don't love about the second movie is the conflict seems very far fetched. So basically, what happens is the bat. So Earthlings. I feel like it's been years because remember the planet's like super far in space, so it
Hmm.
takes years to get there. So they run it back, reinforcements. Except this time they download the psyche of the original bad guy and other Marines into pre-made avatars that are full-time avatars and just go to the planet. Which again, I don't know how they can do that, but this is the future, so you say okay.
The villain died. He got blown up, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But apparently, they had his consciousness loaded into some kind of computer, so they were able to use his consciousness.
Okay.
Which theoretically, I guess you could make infinite hymns with that logic, but I don't know.
Sure.
But basically, they're all full-time avatars now. They
Hmm.
already know how to use their bodies. They're still Marines. They still have like abilities and weapons and stuff. So there's like a whole squad of them. They get sent to the planet, and it's like, all right, well, let's go. So, and there's other humans there. So like, it's been enough time that other humans have come to this planet again and tried to like harvest other things and do stuff like that.
Mm.
So like, it's pretty. A lot of time has passed. It's been like 15 years there, which is I don't know how many years on Earth, but whatever. But anyway, so basically they're after Jake Sully, the main character, who
Mm.
has a family now. They're trying to kill him, kill his kids, kill all his stuff. He's like, well, that's not good. So we're gonna evacuate from the tribe, and we're gonna go out and far away, which doesn't make a lot of sense because theoretically, even if they were after him, they could just attack the tribe he left to force him back, which
Yeah.
seems very much how this guy, I thought this movie was gonna go, but they kind of don't. They kind of just
Hmm.
follow him for some reason, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. I'm like, whatever.
Hmm.
So basically, and the reason it's called the Way of Water is because you know how the forest was a big deal in
Yeah.
the first movie. Well, this time they go to a different tribe of because apparently the whole planet has different tribes of avatars, which
Hmm.
I did not know, which is kind of cool. So basically, they go to the Water Tribe essentially, which
Hmm.
is kind of interesting. So, and they live basically like on the beach and then underwater, which is really cool. And basically, they have the same connection with like fish and like marine life that they have with trees and like you know forest creatures. So it's kind of cool. It's
Hmm.
kind of different. But anyway, they go there. Everyone's, it's kind of this. It's kind of the stereotypical. We're in a new location now. You got to blend in with the locals. You got to, of course, the kids don't get along with the locals because they're different. Yada yada yada. The kids aren't super interesting. They're kind of, I don't want to say like stereotypes, but they're kind of like tropes. Kind of. There's like there's like the older brother who's like the exceptional, the exceptional younger brother who one day you're gonna lead this tribe. Of course, he's gonna die. And then
Right.
there's the younger brother who's always the screw up, and of course he's gonna have to step up because he's the screw up. So it's kind of like, oh well, we see that dynamic's gonna go down. One thing that is interesting is apparently the bad guy's son, who like had a real child and just left him because apparently they couldn't freeze him for the 6 year trip back to Earth, so they just left his child for some reason, which makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
He gets adopted basically as a Tarzan, so he's a human, but he kind of lives like an avatar, so
Mm-hmm.
he kind of just does what they do, which is kind of weird, but it's kind of cool at the same time. But anyway, all that to say, the bad guys, of course, find them, of course, and then they have another all-out war. The all-out war is actually really cool. The use of marine life's actually really solid. I like how they have like underwater. There's a lot of different creatures. Like the water tribe avatars look a lot different because
Mm-hmm.
they've had to adapt to like their hands have more like they're more flippery and stuff like that. So it makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, basically they have this all out fight and the good guys win. A lot of people do die, but all the good guys do
Mm.
win. And yeah, it's pretty solid. It's not amazing. I don't think it should be making nearly as much money as it is, but I I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's I think it's an hour too long, to be honest,
It didn't
because I
need to
feel
be
like a
three
lot of
hours.
no, no, at all. Because like a lot of the movie is kind of exploring stuff that's interesting but not important to the story.
Mm.
And it kind of feels like that's great, but this didn't have and like the ending is like dragged out. Like the final battle is like 50 minutes, and there's like 20 minutes of downtime during the final battle, which is
Huh.
weird. So I don't know, but all that say though, it was pretty solid. But I don't think it should be. What is it like number seven all time now?
It's
Somehow
it's
already.
it's gonna pass 2 billion this weekend. Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say I'm rooting for. I didn't want to say I was rooting for this movie to do bad, but I didn't want it to do like super duper well because it's like it's good, but I don't. I think it's kind of overrated. I feel like is it overseas? Like who is? I feel like everyone here doesn't really like it that much. Like I feel like it must be doing super well overseas or something.
Avatar, whenever it releases in China, and I think India also, just it does extremely well in
That's
those
probably what it
territories.
is.
I mean, they both have 1.5 billion people in each of those countries, so that checks out.
Yeah,
Because I know like the movie's Avatar one has been re-released in China at least 3 times since it came out, and every time it makes several million. So,
that's why it makes so much money.
yep, yep. Um, so as long as it's still out in China, I think it'll just keep making money. I don't know. It's one of those weird things where I know, obviously people are seeing it. Obviously, it. Like, I don't want to say it. Like the meme of this franchise is it has no cultural impact, and that's not true because people, obviously, a lot of people watch the movie. It's making billions of dollars, but at the same time, like I follow a pretty wide variety of people on Twitter, and I never hear anybody talk about it. I never see outside of just people mentioning that it's making money. I never the people that do mention it's like, oh, I saw it. It was good. Haven't
Yeah,
You're the first person I heard anything that's actually about the movie. I didn't know about who the villain was. I didn't know like the kids.
I mean
Nothing.
the villain's kind of bland. Like it's not really that interesting because it's just the same villain again, kind of.
Mm,
So it's not really super like it's just bad Avatar. It's like okay, like
whatever.
whatever. Like it's not. That's the thing. The movie's cool. The visuals are good. I will say I don't think the visuals are as good as the first one was for the time because
Mm,
now it didn't feel like I saw it in 3D, so like I feel like I got a good amount of visual effect, but it was still kind of like there were a couple scenes where I was like, oh, that's really cool looking.
Mm.
Like they had this one scene where there was like this it was like lit up underwater, which was really nice. But other than that, it kind of just felt like a lot of other movies that have a lot of CGI. It just kind of
Mm.
felt very expensive.
Right.
It's like something you can tell like a car is expensive, but you're not like I like that car.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like that. It was kind of just like, oh, that looks expensive, but like I'm not like, oh, I need to have that kind of thing.
Right.
I don't know.
So I'm sure people like it, but I have no interest at all. I don't like, especially not in theaters. Not spending 3 hours, 3 hours and
No, that was
10 minutes to watch that movie in theaters. No.
a long movie. Like, oof, that
Yeah.
bad. Like I didn't go to the bathroom during. I went as soon as like the AMC thing came on. That's like there's one more trailer for the movie starts. I get into the bathroom, and like right as the movie credits rolled, I was like bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Like I barely made it, but man, it's a really long movie. It did
Uh,
not need to be that long at all. Like yeah, I
yeah.
think you could have taken at least 45 minutes out of this movie.
And like you mentioned earlier that you're not rooting against it, but also like you don't really have much to root for it either. Like it's one of those
It's
things
fine.
where I like James Cameron. Terminator 2 is one of my favorite movies. It and every movie he's made has been at least very solid, if not like if not really good. And clearly Avatar, there's something about it that he really likes to make. People seem it seems to resonate with people at least at the box office. But just every time Jack Cameron's in an interview, there's just some aura about him that like I want you to be brought down a peg. I know you are really good at what you do. I understand people really like you, but like I want to say not everything you make turns to gold, but Titanic at one point was the highest grossing movie of all time. Avatar is still the highest grossing of all time. Avatar 2 might be top three, if not number one by the end of it. Like, Terminator 2 is great. Aliens is great. Like, he makes great movies. But I want you to fail? I don't know why. Like, you know?
Yeah, it's not even wanting him to fail. It's more of I just think Avatar is like it's not bad, but it's kind of like the person that you're like, yeah, it's okay, and everyone's like, it's the greatest thing I've ever had. And you're just like, whoa, now I didn't say all that. Like it's not bad. I'm not bad, but I'm like, I ain't, it's not. It doesn't walk on water now. Like let's
Right?
be real. So it's an interesting concept for sure.
Mm-hmm. And they're gonna keep making more. They're gonna be
Yeah,
a
wait,
short.
it's not like four of them in the works or something like
He's
that.
already filmed three and four is in production.
And you know what's weird?
Huh?
After watching this movie,
Mm.
it doesn't like the sequel part was super like okay, first of all, like
Mm.
again, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it, but like they find a way to make the good guy live, which makes no sense because they 110% should have killed him because he was not remorseful, he was not
The
sorry,
bad guy.
he
Yeah.
yes he needed to die, he was a horrible person,
Mm.
killed one of his kids, like you know what I mean, like
Right.
very bad person, definitely needed to die, and they like didn't redeem him, but like we need to save him. No, we don't. You killed so many other people in this movie. You killed hundreds of people, but the worst person I'm gonna leave alive. Really? But okay. So I guess that leaves the door open for a sequel, but like it shouldn't because that didn't make any sense to me.
Uh.
But what I did find interesting is so basically they have this new culture with the water people now, and the threat of that was originally for the forest people is gone, or at least should be, but they let them live. So like
Mm-hmm.
you would think, let's connect these two worlds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the movie just ends. They don't. Like
Oh,
it's just
okay.
like what? Like that would have been made sense. Like okay, here's where the sequel comes from. They're like because apparently these cultures are like notorious for not interacting, which makes no sense, but whatever. So it's kind of like yeah, that makes sense for a sequel. Have the worlds come together in the next one, and then there's something bigger. Like sure, but like
it it
I guess
feels
they're just
like
not going to.
it's weird. It feels like the plot of this movie should have been the cliche of main character from one tribe tries to be nice with other tribe. Something bad happens. Tribes go to war. There's either someone wins or there's some third party conflict that they need to team up to take out.
Mhm.
In the movie, they shake
Right.
hands. Let's all reunite. One big happy world, and
Yeah,
then
kumbaya.
yeah. But instead, they do the cliche of just doing the first movie again.
Pretty much, yeah. Like that's kind of how it ends up going. It's like the first movie, but this time it's like on and partially underwater.
mm,
But like a lot of it's like I don't know. Like it just feels very. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. It's like since it's been a long enough time, you can kind of get away with doing the same thing again. But I feel like you need to really mix it up going forward.
mm,
But I don't know what's in plans. But it is what it is. Yeah,
there's
it feels very not pigeonholed, but kind of like, all right, now what are you gonna do?
right. But now that the second one finally came out, the third one's coming out. I think in 2 years, and then there's gonna be at least five. I think they said at least five.
Five?
Yeah.
No, this is not no. This you don't need five of these. There are very few movies that you need five of anything. The only reason Star Wars works is because you could argue that the movies aren't even that connected with like the prequels and the like. I know they're connected, but like they're still their own movie trilogy, so
right.
it's kind of its own thing. But it's like five like movies in a row is very rarely works. So
E,
we'll see.
like kind of going back to like so with Star Wars, it would almost be like feel better if he said we're gonna make it at least six, like plan for six. That way you can like make another one after Way of the Water, and kind of end that trilogy, and then wait a couple of years, and then with a new character have a new trilogy. Like yeah, you like Star Wars, like
Maybe.
but no, five movies of the same main character. Like I don't
Yeah,
know if I'd
that's gonna get old super fast.
right.
Like I, Jigsaw is not a bad character, but like he's not like man, I love this character. He's a cool dude. He's a cool guy who's
Mm,
become a good leader, but at
right.
the same time, he's not like one of these characters like yeah, I love this guy. He's kind
Right.
of like oh
Like he's not like a James
that was
Bond or a
dumb.
John Wick where it's like I could
No,
watch this guy do whatever. Like yeah, do it. But
no, by no
no.
means, no. But I guess we'll see what
Yeah.
happens going forward. But
Okay.
yeah, I don't know how this is going to work.
Okay. Well, anyway, moving on to a different Avatar thing. It's been confirmed that a new Avatar show with an Earth Bender Avatar is coming out in 2025. So,
Animated?
yes.
Is it the creators are on it?
Yeah, it's like it's the first of the Avatar studios from Paramount Plus. Like those
Oh,
movies
that's
are happening, but
right.
also a show is coming out in 2025. So
Okay, I'm for it.
yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
All right.
Earthbending has always been my favorite element, just to watch do stuff. So having the
So,
main guy be a Earthbender is going to be cool.
do we know anything about like time period, kind
After
of
Korra, that's all
person?
we know. So
Fair enough.
probably 70ish years after Korra, that just like yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Speculation. What do you think? What do you think they're gonna do?
So I've always had the opinion that Just gonna preface everything with I think Korra is fine as a show. It was a little misguided, but overall it was fine. However, conceptually speaking, the fact that they jumped so far in advance after Avatar, because Avatar was like BC times, like barely any
Almost.
technology, like the and okay, well to an extent it kind of works.
It
There's
was inconsistent with technology
yes,
because different cultures had way different. Because like the Fire Nation had like tanks and war balloons and stuff like that, and then like we're out here hunting with sticks and stuff. Like it was weird. It was like the Water Tribe. Well, then again, I guess that was I don't know, I guess that was by choice. But the Water Tribe is living in like igloos, and the
yeah.
Fire Nation has like tanks and like. But then Boston stays also loaded, so like
Mm.
I
But
guess it kind of just depends.
in a way, like it had been over 70 years between the end of Avatar and Korra.
Hmm.
In a way, it kind of makes sense. Where after Zuko takes over the Fire Nation, he like shares the wealth and technology with the rest of the nation. So like
Right,
that
right.
makes sense. However, me and my roommate had a discussion the other day. We feel like starting the show with what is it called? Not Central City. What is it? That
Oh, Republic City.
Republic City. Yeah, Republic City
Central
already
City.
like it's in the middle. You know, it's already being established, and like yes, there is some kind of tension there, but it's not really the focus of the show. Like I feel at least the first season should have been about this idea of the Republic City being constructed, like but the Earth Kingdom not wanting it because it's going to be built on their land, and then just I feel there's something you can do with setting it just like a couple like 10 years prior, or however like just a little bit before where it starts. I feel like the technology wouldn't be quite as advanced to kind of almost make bending feel superfluous to the world you live in. Um, it, I feel that would just be a much more interesting conflict for Korra to deal with, and then you can just go from there. But regardless, we have like steampunky like kind of like
Hmm.
1920s ish allegory time.
Yeah.
So if we go off of that, 70 years, 70, 80 years, you're hitting around 2000 era where you're gonna have laptops and the internet. You know,
Cell phones. Yeah.
I want this Earthbender to be like a techno bender.
Okay.
If
I'm
you have
listening.
if you have this technology, and we know earthbending and lightning bending are a thing, and she is the avatar, like why not be a techno bender? Right?
Well, okay, so like describe techno bending at least
like
to end this
like
like
you're
how do you see this working out?
like you can essentially you know any like kind of I'm assuming the world will be at least close to where we are right now in 2023, or maybe like a couple years before now, and like technology is a little more ubiquitous. Like they can essentially take any phone, laptop, just any car, anything, and just like either like deconstruct it, use it, take over it, like yeah, using like I don't think it would be a thing that just any bender could do, but especially because they are the avatar, and I feel that would like I've always loved the idea of, and they really haven't really done this. I feel like if you're the avatar, you should be able to like combine your elements to be able to do stuff like that. Like I always
Hmm.
assumed Roku could lava bend because he could earth and fire bend, and that's like both together. But no, that's just a
Right.
thing that Bolin can do. Okay, whatever. Sure.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of like I mean the thing with Bolin, like I feel like if they had have made it like because his parents are like from both nations, he inherits that mix, that would
Sure.
have made more sense. But like
And
I
I
feel like
could
they just kind of
accept
made it
that, but that was never said in the
yeah.
show. Like that.
Right. No, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. Like that was one of those things that like in my head that works, but like I feel like if you're doing that, you should lean into it. So I
Right.
think that would have been like one of the benefits of doing the whole Republic City thing. Like you have mixes you never had before because you never really saw that really before. So
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, someone can like do like lava bending or like I don't even know. Like I want to say mud bending. That's kind of already a thing.
Steam
Like I don't
bending.
know. But I feel like you can already do that
Yeah.
if you have one or the other. Because like there have been examples in the first show where like Katara and Toph can both bend mud because they're half and half essentially,
Mm,
or like stuff like that kind of makes sense. So I don't know. It's kind of
yeah.
hard to steam. What would they be like? What, like air and water, but
I
like
was thinking
also
fire
fire. I
and
don't even.
water. I think in fire and
That's
water.
what I'm
But
thinking. Yeah, I guess more, but like, but steam is like air though. So like,
yeah.
I feel like that'd be air also. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
is that a three element thing? Like, who knows?
I don't know,
I don't know, but
but regardless, I think technology bending is something that
that'd be interesting.
I don't. Cause, I mean, it is just a
Especially
bunch of
with metal bending too. You could use that like
yeah.
a lot. That'd be really cool.
Like I think,
Can you
I
imagine?
think metal benders could like move technology and maybe like construct it. But I think being able to like literally take over and like I don't know. I feel just like the idea of somehow connecting a bunch of different avatar abilities to be able to like literally generate and like create new technology is something that could happen. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that'd be pretty cool.
On top of chucking
I'm like,
rocks and other stuff, you know,
well,
because
yeah, I mean, yeah, you can do. We can do both.
yeah,
I don't know. Metal bending opens a ton of possibilities because like I'm imagining like the mail system from like Omashu, but like
mm,
as transit, and then like you just all right, I'll see you guys. I'm going to school. You just like jump out a window, whack on a line, almost like Spider-Man, just like almost skateboard
mm,
basically. Like I don't know, something like that would be super cool.
yeah,
Like
yeah. Like especially since I assume airbending should be the one that they had the hardest time with. That was Korra's thing. So,
yeah.
uh,
Well, see that's the thing. I feel like Korra's element and personalities didn't really match. So they just tried to make her opposite of Aang, which makes sense because you want to make it go in a different direction.
mm-hmm.
But water isn't really the opposite of Aang compared to air. So like I feel like in the same way you should try to make this person, despite being an earthbender, maybe make their personality more waterbending. So like more I guess go with not go with the flow because that's still kind of more Aang, but kind of more like I don't know, maybe like a mix with like Aang and Kantara kind of personality wise, like
Mm-hmm.
lighthearted but still very emotionally charged kind of thing,
Yeah,
but not in like an aggressive way.
I want his fighting style to be. I'm just assuming male. I don't know why. I guess because we had a woman. I guess we're doing male
I
next.
mean,
Um, until otherwise, I'll assume male. Why not?
why not?
Yeah.
It's that's the order. Well, no, it's not. I was gonna say it's been in that order. I'm like, no, it's completely
No.
random. So I
Those.
was like, oh, but Kyoshi, well, that's two. I don't know. Good
um,
enough.
sure.
Why not?
um, I want his fighting style to be more like hard stance, like judo style, whereas Aang was
Ooh,
much more like redirecting attacks,
you're right.
and Korra was just punch.
In your face, yeah. Yeah, like
I
a
want
very strong, like absorb and counterattack kind of
yes,
style. I
yes, and I
like
think
that.
yeah, and that's always why I liked Earthbending a lot because it's just like you're not like it's not the most aggressive, but it's also just it just feels the most powerful to just watch people who are good at Earthbending just control the battlefield. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Toph just dominates everybody.
yeah,
It's great.
yeah. So it's again, it's the original creators. I assume it'll be at least a very similar art style. I'll have to get Paramount Plus to watch it, but hopefully by 2025 it'll be worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
So yeah, I don't think we'll get new information until at least 2024 about it. But regardless, probably gonna be pretty good. I think that's actually all the new topics I have to discuss. Anything else you want to bring up or talk about before we sign off?
I don't think so. No, I can't have anything.
Okay. So then, with that, we will see you all next time.
Take care.